Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hope y'all doing well. I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, my voice is still a little rusty, but I'm getting back. I gotta quit watching football because I keep yelling and rooting for my LSU Tigers and my New Orleans Saints. So, anyway, so there's been some big changes taking place since the last time we talked, and depending on most players' perspective, it's a non-issue or it's the end of Battlefield as we know it. So what is going on? Well, the Battlefield developers decided to make some major overhauls to how the game plays, especially with gunplay. Weapons have had their damage value, recoil, and rate of fire adjusted, so in essence it feels like a brand new game, but not in that "this is awesome" kind of way, but more like that "what the fuck did they do to my game" kind of way. And that's kind of how I felt the first day jumping back in. None of my go-to weapons were getting the job done effectively, or was the knowledge of the change affecting my perspective of the situation? In other words, would I have noticed a change if I had no idea that a change had been made? I think that really depends on the type of player you are and really what weapons you tend to use. I personally made it a habit to try and use as many weapons as possible so I could be a well-rounded player, but there are players who find a weapon to their liking and that's it. That's the only gun for them. Take my wife, for example. I didn't tell her anything about the changes, and after playing, around 3 rounds of front lines, some conquest, I asked her how the game played. She said fine. I asked, did you notice anything different? She said no. Now keep in mind, my wife plays predominantly the support class, so she can give out ammo, but really she likes to never run out of grenades is what it is. And lately, she only uses the Lewis gun. Now, she used the KE7 first, and then she switched over to the Lewis gun, which, according to DICE's patch notes, the Lewis gun and the KE7 are the well-balanced LMGs, taking 5 to 8 bullets to kill and an effective range of 10 to 30 meters. So to her, it didn't make much of a difference. She didn't notice the time to kill difference. She didn't notice really anything. She didn't notice the new auto-spotting when getting close to enemies. To be honest, I don't think she really gets that close. The being spotted notification on the minimap, she didn't notice that. She didn't notice any new changes that have been made to the minimap. She didn't notice the little dots on the minimap were arrows pointing where the players were facing. She didn't notice that at all. The only change that she did say that she noticed was that she didn't feel like she was getting killed from across the map like she normally does. But sniper rifles haven't been changed, and they may have not have had a good recon in the game, so maybe that was just luck. But overall, she still died a lot, and she still had a good time. And I wanted to see how the game played through her eyes, not knowing any changes had taken place. Was she still having fun? Because at the end of the day, that to me is the most important thing. Are you having fun? Can you play this game the way the patches are now? And personally, I'm not happy with the changes. I would love to see it either go back to the way it was, or at least some correction back to in between. I don't like the spotting. I don't like the auto spotting going up. I don't really care about the minimap. I don't like the minimap where they show the direction of the players. I think that's just too much UI interface personally, but I like to rely on my ears and my eyesight. That's how I play Battlefield. But it is what it is. My friends still play it. My wife enjoys the game, so of course I'm going to keep going. With all that said, if I'm going to enjoy the game, I got to find some weapons that are going to suit my needs. So here's what's working for me right now post 5.2 Apocalypse. And this is more for the assault class since that's what I primarily play, but I do have a few weapons I like in the other classes. With my playstyle being aggressive at times, pushing objectives, and when needed, tank wrangler, I like to play the assault class. It's my favorite class right now, even though I do enjoy playing medic and the other classes, but assault is my go-to. For pre-5.2, before all the changes, I liked a semi-auto rifle in hand for most game sessions and map situations. My main two for the past month have been the MAS 44 and the M1 Garand. I realized that I could set the Garand up for a higher rate of fire, but I would have to miss out on the heavy damage output not using heavy load. If I decided to go with heavy load, I had a lower rate of fire, but if I did choose to go without the heavy load option, it would match the MAS 44's rate of fire. And that was the gun that I loved. So that's what I did. I went without the heavy load in order to get the higher rate of fire because that's what I was familiar with, the 360 rounds per minute. But after a few weeks of getting off to that ping sound, I decided to keep the Garand and trade it off for longer gameplay and use the MAS 44 for my more medium semi-close ranges. However, since 5.2 came out, that whole thought process has been out the window. The Garand has much slower fire rate no matter if you choose heavy load or not. Actually, if you don't choose the heavy load, you're getting 300 rounds per minute. If you don't choose the heavy load, it's like 257 or something like that. The Mass 44 doesn't feel the same in close combat situations, so yeah, everything has just been thrown up into the air and adjusted. So for the time being, I've decided to make a few changes, and these are the weapons that I'm currently using. And of course, as always, your results may vary. And also keep in mind, as I've been talking about this, going through this in my head, I'm starting to realize this may be what DICE intended for us to do. And I'll get to that in a minute. Not saying that I like it. I like the idea of what they've done. I don't like the damage output being changed, if that makes any sense. So, for my close to medium gameplay, I'm now in love with the STG 44. Very good recoil, good hip fire, a nice rate of fire. This gun is freaking awesome. I didn't use the STG pretty much at the beginning due to the crazy recoil, but now it's smooth as butter. For my under medium to semi long ranges, I like the ribeye rolls, however you want to say it, I don't care. But with a lower rate of fire and damage output that's titch better than the STG 44, why even bother with the ribeye roll? Well, control. I like to compare my weapon ranges as I would golf clubs. I like to play golf, and with every club, you have to overlap your ranges. And I'm thinking that's kind of what DICE is doing here. They're wanting you not to have one gun for every situation, but they want you to say, okay, this gun is for this distance, and this gun will kind of overlap that other distance and kind of come up, and then so on and so forth. So that's kind of how I'm thinking of it right now. I'm thinking of the guns as like my golf clubs. It's a strange thought, but that's how I roll. So with the ranges overlapping, and that's exactly what the ribeye roll does, it does this nicely. It has good control due to a slightly lower rate of fire and good accuracy. This gun can handle those long-range engagements better than the STG 44 can, but the STG still handles close-range firefights much better. So it really just depends on your playstyle and or how the round is going. Your playstyle may not fit what's going on at that moment, so you may need to make some small adjustments. And that's what I think this is all about. For slightly longer ranges and semi-medium engagements that are just outside the ribeye rolls range, I pull out the Beretta M1935 PG. I still use this gun in semi-auto only. It works great for me on maps like, say, Rotterdam, Merida, Mercury, just to name a few, where the firefights are on the longer range scale. In game, it has the same stats as the ribeye roll, except for control is a little bit lower, but I think that's because it's taking into consideration the burst fire option and not the semi-auto state. I could be wrong. It still feels great to me. I'm very effective with it, and that's the most important thing. Is the weapon in your hand at that moment working for you? If it's not, then move up or down the weapon scale here and see what will work. Hell, what are you getting killed with? Give that a shot. If it's something you're getting killed with that's in your class, then hell yeah, break it out and see what you can do with it. For distances that are still inside Breda's range but do slightly better at longer ranges, I then switch over to the Mass 44, or I've been trying out the Turner SMLE. It has the same rate of fire. Personally, I like the Mass 44 because of the way it sounds, but the SMLE, I believe, has the clip at the bottom. I have not fully upgraded the SMLE, by the way. I just started using it over the weekend. So I don't know what it all can do and how it's going to affect once I get the 4th level put in place. So, but as of right now, I'm enjoying it. And last in the bag is the M1 Garand. Yes, it has a slower rate of fire, but it's accurate. It's very effective at medium and long ranges and has a high damage output than similar rate of fire weapons in its class. Hell, I've gotten kills with it up close, but you're like one and done in those situations. So I do not recommend, but it's still fun. That's what's in the bag for me right now with the assault class. I've tried the Carabin 1938M, but it didn't fit my playstyle situation that I was in. In other words, I didn't need to take pop shots at snipers. But if you're into that, go for it. I would recommend trying the AG M42 and the Gewehr 1.5, see how those feel for you, because I think those are designed for those extreme distances. They're slower rate of fire, but very accurate and can handle long distance engagements. I don't think as well as some of the semi-auto rifles or self-loading rifles that the Recon class has. You will probably be taken out by them quicker, so that's unfortunate, but there you go. For my medic class, My go-to before 5.2 was the ZK383. It was my little multitasker. It was awesome at close and semi-long ranges, and I loved the way it sounded. I liked the way it looked in the character model's hands. Everything about it I loved. I loved that weapon. It was always my go-to. If I had to pick a gun for any situation, that was the gun I was going to pick. The patch notes have it listed as one of the balanced SMGs, but it just doesn't feel the same. I don't know. I think the Sten pretty much has taken the place of the ZK383 in my eyes due to the better accuracy, better control, and slightly higher fire rate. However, with that said, the only SMG I've been rocking as of late is the Type 100. It's more accurate than the ZK or the Sten. It has a higher fire rate. It can handle those mid-range engagements with no issues. I'm loving this gun at the moment. If you're like me and you like the aggressive medic playstyle but need a weapon for both up close, medium range combat, then the Type 100 is just what the doctor ordered. If you like mid to long range medic gameplay, then look no further than Jungle Carbine. You can quickly dispatch enemies in 2 body shots, and if they do have time to react, simply take cover, heal up, and smoke yourself out of a nasty situation. Remember, the bolt action carbines and the bolt action sniper rifles were not touched, and they play exactly the same prior to patch 5.2. So it's, yeah, I think that actually the Jungle Carbine is probably going to be one of the nastiest weapons out there, because medics can sit off at a distance and they can heal up really quick because our bullets aren't going to do as much at range. So it might be a little bit of a disadvantage, but I'm curious to see how this is going to go. So who knows? We'll see if they'll make any changes down the road. But if that's the type of gameplay that you like, then there you go. Give that a shot. I know my friend Lethal loves it. Support class, I've only played with the Lewis gun as of now, and I talked about that at the start of the video. It plays well. It still feels smooth and very controllable. I can keep my reticle on target without letting go of the trigger, and that's a good thing because if it takes more bullets, then I need to stay on target for as long as possible. Stay on target. And to be honest, I almost didn't notice a change at first, but after a while, you can tell it takes a bullet or two more to take out an enemy, but only slightly. And other than that, it's a fantastic gun. If you're having any issues there, give that one a shot. Whether you play support or not, Lewis gun is the way to go. Now, I haven't put much time into the recon class since most of their weapons haven't changed much. Again, like I said, all the bolt action rifles haven't changed. The self-loading rifles have changed, but I think that mainly it's a lower rate of fire. And I never really got into those anyway. If I'm going to play recon, it was mainly for the bolt action, and the Krag is my go-to, Krag Life. The trench carbine for more of that aggressive gameplay. I think it was the P08 that I loved the most because I liked a rapid fire semi-auto gun. But they had changed the rate of fire, so they've made some adjustments on those, I think. I don't know how much it's changed. I don't know if it's back to the way it was. I don't know. However, my friend Lethal used the trench carbine in a round or two the other day, and he said that's what it felt like to him. It felt like the rate of fire had been increased. So let me know down in the comments below, do the changes work for you as far as what I'm talking about? Yes, we're having to deal with the 5.2 patch. Yes, it sucks. Yes, everybody has to deal with it. How are you coping with it? Are you still playing the game? Are you giving up on the game? Are you new to the game? You know, just curious what's going on. I know a lot of the people that subscribe to the channel aren't necessarily hardcore Battlefield players. They're people that just like goofy ass gameplay, and that's usually what we do. I don't do a lot of the talky stuff throughout the entire video. This was a first for me. I wanted to try it out and see if I could get the information out, because there was a lot of information about this patch, and I wanted to do kind of a follow-up to the what was coming out patch and say, okay, this is what's changed, this is how I'm handling it, and this is what's going on. And that's what this was about, really. So Friday, we'll have a Friday Night Battlefield. Also, we're going to have Wake Island coming out on Thursday, so looking forward to that. Hopefully, I can get something edited for Friday Night Battlefield for that. If not, I've got a couple things up my sleeve, so don't worry. But yeah, let me know how things are going for you. If there's any way that I can help, please leave me a comment down below. I'm pretty good about getting back to people fairly quickly. I try to anyway. So, well, that's it for me. Guys, again, thank you so much for watching. As always, we do appreciate it. And until next time, bye for now.